Hello, we are back and today we are at this lovely spot. It is literally like parkour heaven. But yeah, this is one of the new spots in Redhill and it's just a cascade of walls going all the way down to the end. So I've got a few hours, I'm going to spend it here and see what I can come up with. I've had COVID for about 2 weeks and this is the third week, I think, the third week since I've trained. I'm just warming up to gaps again. So this one is it's well within my ability, I'm just a little bit scared. Scary from not training for like 3 weeks and then coming back to everything. Your mental game gets so clouded when you're not training regularly. So yeah, it's cool. Happy. So that jump there actually leads me quite nicely into the topic of this video, which is like 5 mistakes people make when they start parkour. So number one is not warming up and not cooling down properly. When you're doing any form of exercise, it's really important to warm yourselves up properly, get your pulse raised, start by going round and doing some jogging or some light movement. I see so many people arrive at the spot and then they go to just starting doing the biggest jumps that they possibly can without realizing, I think, that this can cause them serious injury. Warming up can not only help your body physically, but it can also prepare you mentally as well. The American Heart Association recommends that warming up for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the intensity of your exercise activity, is key. So with parkour, it's quite a heavy impact sport. So warming up for about 10 minutes before your training session is really important. That's the second wall. Second wall, yeah.
Nice.
First wall's just a bit, it's like land and then you just drop. So yeah, that second wall would be First wall was just way too simple for me. That makes me sound really arrogant. It's just way too simple. Like, it was kind of you land and then you drop to the second wall. If you jump to the second wall, sorry, jump to the first wall. What am I saying? So the first one, you do the running jump and then you land and you just drop down to the first wall. If you go to the second wall, there's a bit more of a jump there. I'm a bit concerned because it's like not wet, but it's a little bit slippery. Obviously it's winter in the UK, so everything's a little bit wet and cold. See my arm like coming into it like that. So number 2 is a challenge that I am immensely guilty of, and that's getting too worked up over a challenge and forgetting that you can always come back to that challenge on another day. Spending too long on a jump on a training session can really impact how productive and how progressive the training session actually is. What you should really do is sort of give yourself a limit, maybe between 5 to 10 attempts, and if you can't get it on that day, walk away and come back to it again another day. This means that you're not going to tire or gas yourself out on just one challenge and basically walk around the whole of London for the rest of the day completely aching. It also keeps the session fun as well. I feel if you're training with other people and you're spending so long on one challenge and they want to move spots where everyone's kind of done and they're waiting for you, they could just get a little bit overwhelmed if you're showing a lot of sort of stressed and negative emotion. It keeps the session fun and entertaining for them, but also for you. It means that you can just come back to it another day, and who knows, there might even be another challenge around the corner that you're able to do. Just hit it, you can end up getting like demon slip, just like sliding all the way down. Oh, blimey. I was so surprised about the grip. I didn't know if I was going to slip on the kickoff. So I kicked up and was either here or the curve. We all know how that went. Slipped when I first got on. As I dropped my foot down and tapped the floor and then pushed back up. It was scrappy, but I'm gonna have to take it because battling the slip on that was not fun. Number 3 is rooftops on everything. Rooftop training can be a key element in your training at a psychological level, but what I find with especially a lot of beginners that are just starting out in the sport, they think that rooftops are the be-all of end-all of all parkour training, when that's just not really the case. So taking the skills that you've learned at ground level and putting yourself in that kind of psychological position of trying it at height to see where your practice is at is really good, but I see so many people get so worked up on just practicing on rooftops. There is a trend that I see, especially with a lot of younger practitioners, is they're so focused on going on rooftops, but they don't really have the correct technique or anything sorted to be taking their skills to that level. Rushing at height can have immensely serious consequences, and there are serious risks with doing that. And I would rather have everyone sort of perform the movements safely with the correct technique rather than rushing their training to go up to rooftops straight away. A few years ago I was training in Horsham with a group of friends, and we had one guy who did a roof gap and he sprained both of his ankles and both of his wrists on this roof gap. Because we were on a roof, there wasn't many ways to get down, so he ended up having to climb down the scaffolding by hanging off of his 2 sprained wrists and dropping down to his 2 sprained ankles. Obviously that was immensely uncomfortable for him and wasn't pleasant for us either. It was a really scary experience, so one lesson that we can take away from that is if you're trying anything at rooftop level, please be careful and make sure that it's 100% safe. Be a good time to mention that if you wanted to, you can support the Patreon in the description. We have these guys here who already support it, so if you like what we do, you want to buy us a coffee or something, there's the Patreon down there. If you wanted to support, you can. There's no obligation to, but it just means we can keep going out and making content like this, so. If I do it this go, you have to like the video and subscribe with the notification bell on. It's my promise to you. I'll do it, there you go, pinky, I'll do it this go. It's the weirdest bounce off I've ever had. I bounced back and I was like, oh shit, there's a curb. And then I didn't want to like kill the curb, so I just jumped back into this, and I mean, it's a bit painful. If I do it this go, you have to like and comment and subscribe. Oh yes, there we go. Woohoo! Number 4 is avoiding training alone. When you're first starting out parkour, training on your own can be immensely worrying. You're kind of getting this feeling that everyone's watching you, and everyone knows that, you know, this sport isn't exactly the most normal thing to be doing, but I don't think that should let you stop practicing something that you enjoy doing. Training alone also takes away the hype of everyone else around you. Normally when you're on a training session, you're training with some buddies, you're training with some friends, and the hype of the session means that you're able to do some jumps that you might not thought were possible before. Training on your own really gives you the opportunity to work on your weak points, and you'll be amazed when you start training on your own how different the session is going to be. If you do feel a little bit anxious on training on your own outside in public, start at some of the quieter spots in your local area. Make sure it's out of the way of the general public, but don't be too embarrassed. The people who are making those negative comments at you whilst you're training outside probably have nothing better to do with their day anyway. You're going out, you're exercising, you're having fun, and you're working on yourself. And finally, number 5 is arguing with the public or security isn't cool. I feel like this has been glorified, especially with kind of the skater versus hater compilations, that when security shows up, you immediately start being on the offensive. And that's not really the case. That the security is showing up because they've been called, they just have to do their job at the end of the day. We are jumping on some people's private property, so if you do get asked to move on, starting an argument and swearing at the security guards and squaring up to them, it's just not a good representation of the sport. Parkour is such a small sport and it's such a niche sport, and it's forever growing, but much like skateboarding, the representation of the sport is coming from the people who practice it. So when a security guard or a police officer gets called and they show up and you start swearing at them and shouting really loud and refusing to go away, it just tarnishes the relationship you have then at that spot. If the security guard shows up, ask for one will go. If they say yes, have the one will go, then leave. If they say no, just pick up your bag, say have a nice day, and carry on going. It's not worth ruining the reputation of parkour in your town for just one jump. Yeah, okay. Everything feels all right till you get to here, and then it's this like sudden direction change from going forwards and then turning to there. I've just got, I know as soon as I commit to it, even if I bounce it, it's fine. It's just getting the feet to the wall. Just got to commit. Ah. Maybe like 3 left in me before I'm out to call it. Just not really tight.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I'm not getting any closer to it, so it sucks.
To be fair, you only have just recovered from so
I'm gonna have to blur that word.
you've only just recovered from an illness.
And that's it, more or less, for this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it. A little bit different. I'm trying something different out at the moment just to kind of test the waters a little bit. If you did like the video, please make sure you thumbs up, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, all that jazz. As mentioned earlier in the video as well, we do have a Patreon now. You can support us for as little as £1 a month. Just means that we can go out and make more content like this. It helps us pay for travel and things like that. You can also grab some clothing from the online store, contendant.shop. 20% of those sales as well do go to mental health charities, so you are supporting a good cause when you shop with us. Take care guys, see you in the next video.